Picture this. You're staying at an old creepy hotel in the middle of nowhere, and during the night, you get a knock on your door. You look through the peephole to check who could possibly be knocking at this time, and what do you see? A man in an all-black outfit, wearing gloves, staring at you. Because what I just described to you was the reality of a situation I was in one time when I almost got kidnapped. Let me explain. So a couple years ago, I had a dream of being an actor. I saw one episode of the Jerry Springer Show and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do with my life. So after doing some research, I found out that a really good way to get into the acting industry was to start with background acting. So that's what I did. Here's a picture of me doing it on the TV show All American. So I've been in the background of plenty of shows. Like if you're ever watching Euphoria and you see a 6'5" ripped dude with a chiseled jawline, it's probably Jacob Elordi, but if you look right past him, you might see me. Bruh. So anyways, I would do these different background jobs and they would usually be all around Los Angeles. But this one day, I get an email about a background acting opportunity in Bakersfield. And at first when I saw it, I was like, no chance I'm doing that job. And for those of you who haven't been to Bakersfield before, it's the worst city in California. Like you will never hear a good thing about that place. And it was 100 miles away from where I lived. So I was like, I'm not doing that job. But then I read a little further into the email and I saw that for this job, they were paying triple the amount for a normal background gig because it was so far out, so no one wanted to do it. So to actually get people to accept the job, they had to pay way more. And on top of that, it was a 2-day shoot and they were gonna pay for the miles you drove to get there and a hotel. And that may not have been enough to convince you to drive out to the butt crack of California, but it was for me. No offense if you live in Bakersfield, by the way. I never said it was a bad butt crack, you know? Some butt cracks can be nice. But anyways, at the time, your boy was low on money and I had a Raising Cane's addiction, so I needed some way to pay for it. Man, I love that cane sauce. So making triple what I would normally make for 2 days in a row sounded like a no-brainer to me. So I decided to accept the job. Now the job was the next morning, so I made sure to get to bed really early because I knew I had a long day ahead of me. I woke up the next day to the sound of my agonizing alarm that makes me feel like I'm a veteran suffering from PTSD after storming the beaches of Normandy, and then I got on the road. I thought it was gonna be a great day. I was about to make the most money I've ever made in a single day before. Nothing could make me sad. At least, that's what I thought. Because after a few hours, I arrived to the location they gave me in the email, and it was nothing like what I expected. Because I had never been to Bakersfield before. I just heard about how bad it was from everyone else that described it. Once again, if you live there, I'm not trashing you guys. I'm sure the city is amazing after you stay for a while. Blink twice if someone is forcing you to live there. But as I got closer to the destination, I realized that not only were we filming in a sketchy city, we were filming in the worst part of a sketchy city. There was homeless people left and right. It smelled like manure everywhere you went. So now I'm kind of starting to regret taking this job, but I was already all the way out there, so I couldn't stop now. I just had to keep in mind why I was doing it in the first place. For the Raising Cane's Caniac combo. Now when I got there, the work itself was pretty fun. Like the scenes they were shooting that day were action scenes, so there was explosions going off, and my character was supposed to be a gang member, so they slicked my hair back and gave me a bike to ride. I know what you're all thinking. I don't know whose idea it was to give me that role either, because I'm not intimidating enough to pass as a gang member. I probably couldn't even intimidate a fish to swim, but I guess they thought otherwise. They told me to act as tough as possible in the scenes, so I did. But the whole time I was doing this, I'm pretty sure I just looked like this emoji. But either way, that was the character I played. So after the day of work ended, this is when it started to get scary. Because like I said, they gave us money for a hotel, but they didn't help us with booking it. So we had to find a hotel on our own. And as a logical person would do, I search up best hotels in Bakersfield. But that sentence was an oxymoron because there are no good hotels in Bakersfield. Every result that popped up was just 2-star hotel, 1.5-star hotel, 3-star hotel, but they have rats. It felt like I was looking at the ratings of a blind Uber driver. So after meticulously weighing my options between every available hotel, I decided to choose the one that looks the least likely to make my veins start glowing green. But clearly, I did not choose the right one because I pull up to it and I see that I'm the only one there. Like it is literally me and 2 other cars. I thought about going to a different place, but none of them looked much better, so I stuck with this one. And I go inside trying to book a room. Now at this point it was already nighttime, so I was pretty scared in general just to be in Bakersfield in the dark. And when I walk inside, there's already a light flickering at the front desk with no one behind it. Felt straight out of a scary movie. So I ring the bell on the counter once, but no one responds. After a few seconds, I ring it again. And just before I was about to leave, an old lady that looked just shy of 140 years old comes out slowly with a cane. You may think I'm being dramatic with her age, but I promise you I am not. I was genuinely looking around for a Guinness World Record plaque somewhere because I thought she had to be breaking some sort of record. I don't know who the owner of this hotel was, but making that poor lady work should have qualified as elder abuse. Now after she got to the front desk, my first question to her, of course, was, what was it like when George Washington was president? And my second question was asking if I could book a room. But throughout this whole process, She wasn't saying a word. To be honest, I don't even know if she had the ability to speak anymore. But obviously, she knew I was there to book a room. So she stuck her hand out waiting for me to give her my credit card. And then once I paid, she gave me the key. She didn't even tell me the room number either. I just had to look at the number on the wall from where she got the key to figure it out on my own. So I walk over to the room, and the moment I open the door, I get hit with the nastiest stench. The room itself though wasn't really that bad, so I just tried my best to get comfortable and go to sleep. It was already 10 p.m. by this point. I just had a super long day on set, and I had to be back at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. So I laid down on the bed, and normally I sleep in a pair of shorts and no shirt, but I wasn't letting my bare skin touch that bed, so I was fully dressed head to toe when I laid down. I struggled for a while because of how creepy the environment was, but then I dozed off. That was until the middle of the night, when I hear a knock on the door. At first when I heard this, I was super confused because I was still like half asleep, so I just thought I was dreaming. But then I heard it again, and as I'm slowly waking up, I see a shadow underneath the door moving. So I knew someone was actually there, and I didn't just imagine the sound. I checked my phone first before doing anything to see what time it is. And because I'm chronically addicted to it, I ain't even kidding either. I once started scrolling through social media after opening my phone when I was supposed to be calling someone for help because my friend broke his ankle. But anyways, enough about my doom scrolling. I check my phone to see that it's 2 in the morning. This is when I started to get worried because remember, there was only 3 cars in the parking lot. One of them was mine, another was probably the lady from the front desks. Although I really hope it wasn't actually, because if she's still driving at that age, she probably has the reaction time of Bowser Jr. in Mario Kart. I would not want to see her on the road. But I didn't know who the 3rd car belonged to yet. So I'm thinking, who could possibly be knocking on my door at this time of night? And I knew it wasn't the old lady because if you saw how slow she was moving at the front desk, you would agree that if she tried knocking on that door, her hand would disintegrate on impact. But even if it didn't, it definitely wasn't going to make a noise as loud as the one I just heard. Finally, I get up and tiptoe to the door so they wouldn't hear me, and I look through the people, but what do I see? A man dressed in all black, wearing gloves. That's already terrifying in itself to see at 2 a.m., but what made it even more eerie was he was smiling. And obviously, when you're staying at a hotel that looks like it just got featured in Breaking Bad and it's 2 a.m. in the morning and someone knocks on your door wearing all black, the first thing you're going to assume is, oh my gosh, I must have just won the Zach and Cody Cruz sweepstakes and this person is here to give me my prize. No, just kidding. First thing you think is, I'm about to get kidnapped. By the way, whoever did win that sweepstakes, huh? Was it even real? I'm just saying.
Nobody cares.
So I was like 90% sure this person probably had a weapon on them, and there was no way I was opening that door. Think about it this way. Best case scenario, this worker was another employee bringing me extra toilet paper after they heard me blow up the bathroom before going to bed. Worst case scenario, or most likely scenario based off how they were dressed, an Amber Alert for a missing person was about to get sent out for me if I opened that door. So I stared through that peephole for a good 10 seconds until they finally left. I finally exhaled a little bit, but now I really didn't want to stay the rest of the night here because the door separating me and this mystery person wasn't strong at all. If they wanted to break through it, they easily could have. So I knew I wouldn't be able to go back to sleep knowing that he was probably still in the building. And I thought about calling the cops, but what was I going to report? A man dressed in black jeans with a black hoodie and black Air Forces on knocked on my door? That's not a crime. That's just bad fashion. So I packed my stuff, put my shoes on, and got ready to leave. Then I slowly opened the door holding my suitcase. And of course, this door must have been built during Pangea because it makes the loudest creaking sound ever. I know that door had it out for me, but I opened it and peeked my head to the left, then peeked my head to the right, making sure no one was there. Then I quickly got out of the building. But before I left, I decided to go back to the front desk and ask the old lady if anyone else was staying there that night because it possibly could have been another guest. And because I still had to return my keys, I ring the bell at the front desk and she slowly walks in with that same disappointment on her face as she had the first time. So I ask her if I was the only one staying at the hotel that night, and she looks back at the keys, then looks back at me and nods yes. My key was the only one that was missing, so she kind of looked back to be like, yeah, duh, of course you're the only one here. This made me terrified because now I knew whoever the person was that knocked on my door, they weren't a guest at the hotel, which meant they had to go out of their way to stop at this hotel, go to my room, and knock on my door. But another thing that confused me was, out of all the rooms in the hotel, how did they know which one I was staying in? Because all the other rooms were vacant. So did he just follow me when I initially went into the room? I wasn't sure, but I definitely wasn't gonna wait to find out. It was already 2:30 a.m. and I had to be up in a couple hours anyway, so I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna sleep in my car. But as I'm heading from the lobby to my car, I noticed that the 3rd car of this mystery person was still there. But something was different, because you know what happened? The car changed parking spots. But not only did the car change parking spots, it was now right next to mine. So now I knew whoever owned this car was just in it, and it wasn't just an abandoned one like I figured. I knew it must have been the person that was at my door earlier. But the question was, where were they now? I wanted to see exactly what type of person I was dealing with, so I looked inside their car. But doing that made me even more worried because it was super dirty. Like, I'm pretty sure they lived in it, and they had a bunch of tools inside. Wrenches, hammers, screwdrivers, and rope. I couldn't tell if this person was just a mechanic or if they used these things as weapons. So I get inside my car, and in an effort to find a good area to park so I can sleep, I search up safest places in Bakersfield. You know what comes up? Nothing. Google was pretty much laughing in my face for even asking that question. The only result that had the word Bakersfield and safe in the same sentence were just websites that had the top 10 least safe cities in California ranked. Bakersfield made every single list. Honestly, they should get a trophy for that because I'm pretty sure they were the only city that was on every one of them. So I'm in my car while it's running, looking up these places, but that is when I see this person in all black from before walking out of the hotel. My heart drops, and I'm trying to decide whether I should drive out of there as quickly as possible or stay to see what they do, because they didn't seem to notice that I was in my car yet, and I felt safe in there knowing I could just leave at any moment as long as I was far away from him. So I watched to see what he would do, but after a couple seconds of being nosy, he notices my car. He looks over at it, and then he does a double take, realizing that the car was on and I was inside it. So when he realized that, he ran back into the hotel. I'm guessing he did that because he didn't want me to see his face or something, which is weird considering I literally just stared at him right through the peephole a couple minutes ago. But after his reaction and seeing the things inside that car, I decided I should at least call the emergency line for the police. So that's what I did, and I told them everything that was happening. They told me, okay, we'll send someone over to check it out right now. So I pull out of the parking lot and park about 500 feet away from the hotel, because now I wanted to see what would happen when the police showed up, and there was no chance I was going back to sleep anyway. So after about 30 minutes, a cop car pulled up. I drove back to the hotel now and told them everything that happened. But when the police arrived, we didn't know where the man in all black was anymore, because last time I saw him, he was running back into the hotel. But before going in to look for him, the cop ran the plates from his car into his system, and that is when he told me that the person who owned this car had a warrant out for their arrest. What was the warrant for? False imprisonment. I had to look up what that meant because I wasn't sure, but the definition says unlawfully detaining or restraining someone against their will without any legal justification or authority. An example Google gives is tying someone to a chair, restricting them from leaving. So basically, he had a warrant out for kidnapping, and you'll wonder why I act like a coward in these situations. So after finding all this guy's personal information, the cop went inside the hotel looking for him. But after about 30 minutes of searching, he didn't find anyone. He searched the whole hotel, but no one was there. So the guy must have saw the cops and fled or something. I don't know if they ever did end up catching this man, and I just stayed in my car until the next morning. But the one thing I do know is nothing good happens in Bakersfield.